Welcome back to the Town Nerd channel. Today we'll be continuing on with the basic Java programming course, going over, in this episode, our very first program, which will be a Hello World program. You will see this a lot in a lot of programming tutorials where Hello World is the first program you will write, and that's because it's a very simple program, and it's just for you to learn how to run a program in your IDE that you're using, learn the basic syntax and structure of a program, and that way it, you just have to get your foot in the door and try something. And so in this episode, that's what we're going to do. And so if you have Eclipse open and you followed along in the first episode of how to install Eclipse and get it set up and ready, you should be ready to follow along and we'll get a new project started. So in the top left, there's this little symbol here all the way to the left. And you highlight, it says new. We'll click there and we'll click Java project right here. If you don't see Java project here, you want to scroll down to the Java folder and hit Java project here. We'll click next, project name, hello world. We'll leave everything else default. I have use default location selected. This will create the new project in our Eclipse workspace that was designated when we installed Eclipse. Java 17 is what we'll use. And go ahead and just click finish. And that will, in this package explorer, create a new project. So if you open this up, there's a source folder here. What you want to do here is right click on source, new, Java class. We're going to call this class Hello World. And we won't change anything else here, except when you come down here with which method stubs would you like to create, check this first one, public static void main. I'll go over what this is once we get this created. And we want to finish. And what this has done is created our first class. So in all programs in Java, it all revolves around classes and objects. And classes are the files you will create and where you will write your code as in a Java class. And what classes are is like a blueprint for an object. And so everything in Java has to do with classes and objects. It's an object-oriented programming language, which means everything you interact with in Java is going to be an object or a class of some type. And so in the Hello World program, all we need is one class, and this will be the main class. And what I mean by main is it has this main method. And so when we clicked that checkbox for the public static void main, this is what it automatically put in here. And as you see, it left a comment here telling us that this was auto-generated. We can remove this comment just so it's out of our way. So before we write anything, let's go over a couple of these things and keywords that's already in the program. So public we see here and here. This public is a excuse me. This public is an access modifier, meaning this is determining how these objects in this class can be accessed. So by using the word public, you can access this class and methods in this class externally. So you don't have to be inside this class to use it. And so we need that for our main method because we need to be able to call that to start the main method. So we have public here and public here. And the next you see is class. This designates that this is a class file in Java, which all files in Java will be a class of some type. And so that's designated here. And then this is the name of the class. Name of the class is normally always the exact same name as the file you created when you created the class. So this hello world.java, inside here we have public class hello world, spelled the exact same way. And so for class names, you want to keep each word capitalized and no spaces for class names. So as you see here, we have hello with the H capitalized and then world with the W capitalized. And this is how you want to dictate all your class names when that's with that same convention. And then we have this auto-generated method in this class with the name main here. And this is the main method. This has to be named main for this to work in Java. But then we also see this other keyword static. And you can tell these are keywords because they are highlighted differently. Ours are highlighted in purple. And the way it's highlighted is based on your theme. You can change your highlighting syntax theme if you want to using that plugin we added in the last episode, the darkest dark themes. So this is how mine is set up. We have this next word static. So what static means is that this method belongs to the class itself, not an instance of the class. And we'll get further into what that means and why you'd want to use static. Uh, but mainly it means we don't have to have an instance of this class to be able to use it. In other cases, most methods won't be static, and so you'll have to have an object created from that class to be able to use its methods. In this case, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to write this simple program for hello world. But I do want to explain these keywords because we're seeing them now. Next one we have is void. So this is a return type. Void meaning there's nothing returned from this method. This method is not going to return anything to the rest of the program once it's called. And so you can highlight over things in Eclipse and it will kind of tell you what things are. So I don't know if it'll do it for static or public. Nope. So just void, you'll get a little tip saying that this is the return type. So it returns nothing. Main is just the name of this method, but it's very important because main is the method that is used when you run the Java program. And so it's the entry point into all Java programs. You have to have a main function set up like this. And then inside the parentheses are what called parameters. So every method may or may not have parameters, but if you want it to have parameters, you dictate it inside the parentheses. And parameters are things that are passed into a method that you can then use inside of that method. So we have this string with brackets and then args. So this is the data type of the parameter, and this is the name of the parameter, args. So you can reference this inside the method. We'll go further into data types in a later episode and the different data types that you have access to in the base Java versus creating your own data types. For now, nothing to worry about too much there. And then you have a set of curly braces. So with this public class hello world, we have these outer set of curly braces. Everything for a Java program must be in between these parentheses, or sorry, curly braces. So public class, the name of the class, open brace, closed brace, and we can only access everything inside of these curly braces. And it's also just the basic syntax of a Java class is the name and the curly braces. Same with a method. So this is a method here, as discussed earlier. Everything inside the curly braces here are what is a part of this method and what will be ran when that method is called. So let's write our first and only line of code in this program. We're going to type system, capital S, dot out, dot println, parentheses, double quotes, hello, space, world, and then a semicolon at the end. So let's go over what we wrote here. System, dot out, dot println, open braces, double quotes, hello world, and then a semicolon. So every line in a Java program must end in a semicolon for that line to be considered complete and readable by the Java programming language and the compiler. So this system.out is how you reference the standard output for this Java program, which in this case is the console. So anything referenced to system.out will be outputting to the console. And here we have println, which was the method from the system.out that we're using, the standard output. We're using the println method, which means print new line. So it will print the text you provide it and then move the cursor to the next line. There's also just a regular print. This will print the text you provide it the same way, but it will not move the cursor to the next line. And we'll see the different use cases for that later. But for now, that's all we need to know. And then we have parentheses here. And this is where you provide, again, the parameters to the println method. And so we're just passing it a string, which is denoted by double quotes. Everything inside the double quotes is the string you're providing or the words you want it to print. And so if we were to move some of this outside of the parentheses, we'd get an error because that is not a valid input into the println method. So we'll put that back. And here we have our first line, our first statement in a Java program. And it's ended in a semicolon. You'll need this as well if it's not there. You'll also get a little squiggly error saying that there's a syntax error, meaning it has to have a colon to be the end of the statement. Now we're ready to run our very first Java program. And you do that in Eclipse by up here at this green and white play button. It'll say run hello world. We'll click on it. It will ask you to save if you want to save resources before running, and just go ahead and check this always save resources before launching. There's no reason you'd want to run a program without saving it because you want to run it to run the latest thing you've written. So check this always save resources before launching. Click OK. And if we see down here, this console popped up, this new console tab, and we see hello world printed in the console, which is what we have typed right here. And so there you have it. It's your very first program in Java, simple hello world program, printing hello world to the console. In the next episode, we'll go a little bit more in detail. We'll cover some other things, but just congratulations, congratulate yourself. You have written your very first program in Java. It's very simple, but everyone's got to do it, and it's the stepping stones to get you further through. As always, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, and subscribe down below. Let me know how you're enjoying the series, and leave any comments and suggestions for what you want to see in the future.